welcome back into another episode of After the Whistle. I'm Noah Genson.
Joe Bielanski.
Let's get right into it. Second-ranked GVSU soccer team earned their 20th and 21st wins of the season in the opening rounds of the NCAA tournament as they beat Southern Indiana 7-1 before beating McKendree 4-0. Katie Barron and Ava Cook scored twice in that opening game, while Greta Deloach, Chantel Carranza, and Rico Segarra each found the back of the net once. That win marks the 13th straight 20-win season for GVSU soccer. It was more of the same dominance on Sunday as GVSU held McKendree to 0 shots taken. Carranza scored twice in that one, while Gianna Parlow and Kennedy Bearden capitalized on their offensive opportunities. GVSU took a break for the holiday as they'll travel to their regional final match on Friday, December 6th. They'll face off with Indianapolis and Mankato, Minnesota at 11 a.m.
The GVSU volleyball team fell to the 23rd ranked Michigan Tech Huskies in the opening round of the GLIAC tournament 3-1. While the season may be over for the volleyball team, a few Lakers earned conference awards. Freshman Jaylee Primus won GLIAC Freshman of the Year after leading the conference with 117 total blocks. Sophomore Allie Thompson earned a second team honor, while senior Kendall Yerkes earned a GLIAC honorable mention. Her and Frankie Cavallaro are the only seniors on the team that see their Laker career come to an end.
Finally, both the men's and women's basketball teams combined to go 4-0 over the weekend. The men traveled to Cedarville, Ohio to compete in the Don Callen Classic. They beat host school Cedarville 86-75, with junior Isaac Gassman leading the way with 18 points on 4 made threes. GVSU kept rolling in the second matchup as they never trailed in a 75-69 win over Ohio Dominican. Junior Jake Van Tubergen led all Lakers in that one with 17 points. The men now sit at 5-1 on the year. The women remained undefeated and earned their 5th, 6th, and 7th wins of the season. Saturday's victory saw the Lakers beat Hillsdale College 74-25, while Sunday's victory saw GVSU beat the University of Findlay 88-63. Senior Cassidy Bench led the Lakers in scoring in both matches with a combined 37 points. Both teams were successful on the week of Thanksgiving break. The women traveled to Ohio to take on Central State and won that game 80-54. With a team leading 21 points and 11 rebounds, senior Cassidy Bench earned her 3rd double-double of the season. The men fought for a 3-point victory over Indiana Tech, 62-59. With the team leading 21 points and 14 rebounds, junior Vic Van Tubergen earned his 4th double-double of the season. Both teams will look to earn wins on 90s night on Thursday, December 5th, as both squads take on the Rangers of Wisconsin Parkside. The women will play at 6 and the men will follow at 8.
That'll do it this week in Grand Valley Sports. I'm Joe Bielanski.
And I'm Noah Jensen. And this is our last show here at GV. So we thank you for our time. And we really appreciate all the opportunities we've gotten here on the show. And we look to see you all on some other broadcasts here in the future.
Yep. And for one last time, all season, all game, always on After the Whistle. I screwed that up. I mixed it up, but that's okay.
But it's good.
What is going on, GVTV? Welcome back to another episode of 10 Minute Misconduct, After the Whistle's hockey segment. I'm Kevin Lepper.
And I'm Aaron Poland.
Let's get right into it. So, Aaron, let's start off talking about the Red Wings.
Ooh, yeah.
Not a good time to be a Red Wings fan.
Well, it depends. Do you want them to lose? Because if you want them to lose, it's a great time.
Yeah. I don't think most fans do. So they're on a 9-game losing streak right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's rough. Obviously, Mantha's hurt. That's a big reason. Because, I mean, you could argue that he's single-handedly carried this team so far this season.
I think another big injury that people are overlooking is Danny DeKeyser. Danny DeKeyser is their best stay-at-home defenseman that they have on the wings, and he has only played probably a handful of games this year.
Mm-hmm. So obviously a team that's plagued with injuries, not having any success.
What was the
here.
stat you were telling me before the show started?
Oh, yeah, fun stat. So I was on NHL.com today before the show, getting ready. The Red Wings are currently at a negative 53 goal difference. So for every goal it's
that
horrible.
means the other team has scored 53
more goals than the Red Wings have. And taking a look at the next worst goal differential in the league is the New Jersey Devils, which is one team above us in the standings. We're at dead last. They're one above us. Their goal differential is 25. That's over double ours. So we have no defense. That's
Goalies aren't helping.
Goalies are not helping. That's a big.
Also, Jimmy
problem.
Howard got hurt this week.
He did, and
I mean, doesn't really make a difference, but
yeah, you know. And then that Toronto game, when Howard got hurt, and Bernier wasn't ready to play because he was sick or something. So then they showed Darren Helm going to
I was really excited about that.
To the locker room, and we thought we were just going to put on the pads and get in there, but Bernie was still in the building. He got suited up. And
honestly, that was probably one of the biggest letdowns I've ever had.
Yeah, you know, at that point, I was just like, whatever. Let's see it.
That game was this is the Toronto Maple Leafs who fired Mike Babcock.
Which we will get into.
Yeah, which we're going to get into under a new coach, and they're definitely excited to play under the new coach, and you can tell they had 3 goals in the first 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the first 2, nothing Jimmy Howard could do, and then the third one is right after he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of staying down, he tried to battle through it. You can't really blame him for doing that,
right.
but he couldn't stand up, and then John Tavares just picked the corner over his shoulder, and nothing he could do.
Mm-hmm. So at that point, it's 3-0, and then
so might as well
Bernier comes in. He's sick. He's not playing his best. Less than 3 more goals. Red Wings lose that game 6-0. Lose the next game to Philadelphia 6-1. So we're getting outscored pretty bad.
Yeah.
And it's not fun to watch.
For a while until Sunday, Robbie Fabry was the only Red Wing who had scored in the past 2 weeks until Glendening scored in the third period, which one, that's a good trade. It's looking like we won that one. He looks like he's going to be around for a while. And 2, we just got to score more goals. We got to find a way. Teams are playing super tough on Dylan Larkin. He's getting beat up. You could see in Carolina he got cross-checked, and you could tell it really bothered him with his ribs. But teams, that's how they're going to play him, and it's just an adjustment he had to make. This is very similar to his second year after he came on the scene, scored 23 as a rookie. Teams start playing him tougher, different ways, and he has to adjust, which he'll adjust. He's a good enough player. He's going to adjust, but it's just part of rebuilding, part of becoming a superstar.
Obviously, we're nearing the halfway point in the season. At this point, do you think the Red Wings should embrace the tank, or do you think we should make some changes to win some games?
I think they have no choice. They don't want to embrace the tank. They're just not a good enough team to win games. Whether I don't know if it's Jeff Blashill or it's just the lack of.
Wanted to bring up. Do you think that Blashill is the mainstay coach for the Red Wings in the future, or do you think that something needs to be done right now with him to get this team going?
I don't think he doesn't need to be fired right now. I don't think this is very different than last year where St. Louis was in last place. St. Louis had the talent to make the playoffs with Ryan O'Reilly, Tyler Bozak, and that whole crew of people. The Red Wings don't have that talent, so bringing in a new coach, that's just going to make someone else's coaching record go down. I mean, it's not much that Jeff Blashill can do with this team. He can try to make them get better every single day, but it doesn't really look like we're getting better. It looks like we're getting beat 6-1 by Philly, who's not exactly world beaters.
And not a team we should have lost 6-1 to.
No, not at all.
Okay, so moving on from depressing Red Wings news, looking around at the rest of the league, Edmonton, they got 2 guys on their team who are really lighting it up right now. Obviously, Connor McDavid.
That guy's pretty good.
He's okay.
Yeah, he's an okay player.
He's okay at hockey, I guess. And then Leon Draisaitl. They are both putting up over 50 points right now. McDavid's got 51. Draisaitl's got 50. Both got 32 assists on the season. McDavid's got 19 goals. Draisaitl's got 18. A pretty dynamic duo right now for the Edmonton Oilers.
The numbers they're putting up are ridiculous. McDavid's had, I think, 2 games of 5+ points. 1 game with 6. It's just insane. I mean, I could imagine being the other winger on that line. Just put your stick on the ice. You're going to get yourself 20 goals. I mean, Zach Kassian is the other winger, and he's a tough guy. He's very similar to Tom Wilson in Washington, where they don't really expect him to score, but he's going to score goals because he's with great players. Yeah, they're insane.
Yeah, they're doing all right.
My biggest worry about Edmonton is always been their biggest problem is they don't have a top defenseman. That's where I think they're gonna run into issues in the playoffs is when other teams are hammering down on McDavid and Draisaitl. They're still gonna get their points. They're just that good. But where else are you gonna get points from? And that's where I think they're gonna run into issues.
For sure. And then, so Edmonton is currently sitting fourth place in the league. Boston is sitting at first place in the league. David Pastrnak's got 25 goals on the season, leading the league right now. I think Boston is a serious cup contender this year. I think after they went to the finals last year, I think they want it.
Sure.
They want it bad,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I could see them going all the way this year. Granted, it's still relatively early in the season. You know, a lot of things can
But
change.
they look great, though.
Mm-hmm. They do.
They look better than they were last year.
They
They
are-
were really good last year.
They are a very, very solid team all around.
The improvement that Charlie McAvoy has shown from last year's
Mm-hmm.
finals to so far halfway through this year is incredible. I think Charlie McAvoy is going to be one of those names that you should get to know because he's
for
going to
sure.
be a puck-moving D-man in the league for a long time.
Yeah, definitely. All right, and then also another thing going on. Taylor Hall is on the trading block right now.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously playing in New Jersey, he's looking to get somewhere else. First pick probably is Colorado. Would you say?
I do see him going to Colorado. As long as Colorado and Edmonton, they don't get hung up on Cole McCurr because Colorado's not trading him. He's going to win. He's probably going to win Rookie of the Year.
Mhm.
He's leading, I think, all defensemen in points as a rookie.
I think so.
He's on a pace for 80+. He's insane.
Mhm.
And I think Edmonton's trying to get him away from Colorado for Taylor Hall, which is probably a half-season rental, and
Mhm.
that would be a disaster for Colorado trading away Cole McCurr because he looks like he's going to be the next Brent Burns, Eric
Right. Mhm.
Carlson type player.
He's looking really good.
Yeah.
This year, it's kind of insane.
I do see him going to Colorado, though, becoming a winger on that second line with Nazem Kadri.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that will put Colorado a little further ahead of most teams in the West as far as being a cup contender.
Mm-hmm. And there's also talks of him going to Montreal as well, but do you
I don't see Montreal.
not as likely as Colorado.
I see Montreal if they can get a sign and trade where he promises to sign right away with the Canadiens for
Mhm.
long term. But I just don't see that happening. I just don't see him going there because they're just not ready to win yet. I feel like they'd have to trade away a good prospect to get him, and that's just going to hurt their rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
But Montreal's done stupid things like that before, so I mean,
I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
yeah.
All right, moving on to some very spicy, interesting news here in the NHL. A couple of coaching scandals over the past 2 weeks
Yeah, it's not
that
good.
have come out. So we'll start off with Bill Peters of the Calgary Flames. There was an incident that happened over a decade ago that has resurfaced lately of him making some racist comments to a player when he was coaching in the minors.
We will not repeat the comments.
No.
Super
We're-
derogatory.
So after these allegations came up, he resigned as head coach of the Calgary Flames. Obviously, not a good look.
No, I think
for him.
Bill Peters is done in the NHL. I can't see how you come back from this.
I don't think any team would want to take him after.
Especially when hockey has this big mantra, hockey is for everybody.
Right.
This sets that whole entire thing back.
It's not a good look for the NHL.
No, absolutely not. This is a giant.
It's a horrible thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the right words,
Right.
but like, it's not good. I mean, you couple this with PK Subban, the racial abuse, verbal abuse he gets from fans, and this just makes hockey look really bad.
Right. So Bill Peters, bye.
Yeah.
Moving on, Mike Babcock.
Mike Babcock.
He is out of Toronto. He got fired. Obviously, the Leafs weren't doing so hot, but also because of another incident. So allegedly, or not allegedly, I think it was confirmed.
No, this is confirmed.
Confirmed. He made Mitch Marner make a list of all the hardest, or who Marner thought was the hardest working players on the team, and then Babcock read that list to the team.
Yes.
I
I don't know if you read it to the
Understood.
team, but
He made
word got out that the players that Marner said were the least hardworking were Nazem Kadri and Tyler Bozak. And word got out to them, and Mitch Marner at the time was super well liked in the locker room.
was this his rookie year?
This was his rookie year. Yep.
So he's just a young kid, basically.
Yeah,
and
and he doesn't know any better. He's
Right.
not trying to throw anyone under the bus. I guess this was Babcock trying to show Mitch Marner needs to work harder or something, but that completely backfired. That's
not a thing you do.
no, you
as a
don't do
coach.
that to someone. That's how you destroy a locker room and fragment the team, and your team's going to go down the tubes
Right.
when you start to fragment them.
So after that incident, he got fired from the head coach job of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then they brought in Sheldon Keefe, I think is how you
Keefe.
pronounce it. Keefe? Okay. Well, they brought in him. and I think they're like 4-1 since he's been.
They look really good. They look like the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Obviously, he's probably bringing a better energy into that locker room. Really getting the players more.
You could tell the players were relieved when Babcock was fired. He's not very well liked around the league. Another story that you brought up to me. This one's bad.
This one is bad. So today, as of the time we're recording this, Spittin' Chicklets, the Barstool Sports hockey podcast, came out. Chris Chelios was the guest on it today, and in the podcast, Chelios came on to say that during the 2012 Stanley Cup playoffs against the Nashville Predators, Mike Babcock verbally assaulted Johan Franzen, causing him to have a mental breakdown or a nervous breakdown. And it's obviously Franzen had those concussion problems, and he had the depression as well, as he has stated. And then in the podcast, Chelios said that it was probably one of the worst things he's ever seen.
Yeah, no, this is...
So more negative Babcock news that has resurfaced. Not a good look for him.
No. Especially with all that Franzen had been through, all the concussions. And he had very similar to Sidney Crosby when we were worried about Crosby losing his career with the concussions. He would be out for a full year with a concussion. And you can tell, like, I've read articles where, like, he has problems, like, just doing day-to-day things because his head hurts him so bad he can't lift up his 4-year-old child. That was in 2013. It's not a good look on Babcock, but I got a feeling that because of his success that he's had in the league, I don't think this is going to be a career ender for him. My guess is he'll probably be one of the candidates, maybe the head coach of the Seattle team when they come in 2021.
I feel like for something like this, a press conference where he apologizes can land him another job in the NHL.
It's not.
But with Bill Peters, I think he's done.
Bill Peters, you cannot do that.
You can't come back from that.
I mean, maybe he learned his lesson from then, but you can't do that.
There's not going to be another team that hires him after what he did. All right, moving on. Some of the prospects for this coming year.
We figured the Red Wings aren't very good, so we'll look forward to who we can draft next year. So I've got the top 6, in my opinion, who are the top 6 prospects. We got Alexis Lafreniere. He's from Rimouski, which is where Sidney Crosby played in the QMJHL. He's going to be – it's hard to compare him to anyone, but he's going to be a really good player in the NHL. He's got size. He can score. He's almost 2 points a game right now in the Q, which is insane.
Pretty good, yep.
Number 2, Quentin Byfield. He's a big center from Sudbury in the OHL. He's a good two-way defenseman. He's got size. He's got hands around the net. The third person is Alexander Holtz. I don't know much about him, and also Lucas Raymond. I don't know much about him as well. They both play in Sweden, but they're both forwards. I think Raymond's a center and Holtz is a winger. Cole Perfrietti. I can't say that. I'm sorry. Sorry, Cole. Probably not watching, but I'm sorry. From the Saginaw Spirit. He's got size. He can score as well. And where I think I'd like to see the Red Wings go if they don't get the number 1 overall pick. I'm torn between if they get 2, if they take Byfield. But if they get 3, I think they're going to take the number 6 prospect, who's a goalie, who is Yaroslav Askarov. He is being touted as the next Carey Price. I don't like player comps, but if you're getting compared to Carey Price, who's probably the best goalie of our generation. Yeah. He's also a Russian goalie, and if you look, Steve Yzerman is not afraid to take Russian goalies in the first round. Little trivia quiz. Who was the Russian goalie that he took?
Oh, how long ago was this?
Oh, he's in the NHL right now. He won the Vezina.
I want to say Bobrovsky.
No, it's not Bobrovsky.
No,
it's Tampa. The only team that
Vasilevsky?
Yeah, Vasilevsky. Okay. He drafted him with the 19th overall pick.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
yeah.
Sorry.
I just had it's all right. I couldn't think of his name either. That's
my brain just went dead for a couple minutes right there. So
I'd like to see them go there if they can't get Lafreniere, because organizationally they have pretty good depth up the middle, especially if you want Rasmussen to be a center. But if you draft Byfield, he's another center who's basically the same skill set as Rasmussen. You can move him to a wing. But we'll see where it goes. We'll see if the Red Wings pick up their play. If they pick up their play, then maybe they won't get this chance, but we'll see at the end of the season.
I think it would be interesting if they took a goalie first round.
Yes.
Because, I mean, obviously we got Howard and Bernier. But, I mean, they're not going to be around for that much longer. And then looking into the farm system. We got Calvin Pickard, who's with
going to be
Grand
gone by
Rapids.
next year.
He's going to be gone. Who's the other?
Philip Larson.
Philip Larson, yeah. But, I mean, if he's getting compared to Carey Price, then I think he'd be a good addition to the team.
It's hard to look at the Red Wings and be like, what do they need? Because they need everything.
They need everything.
Yeah.
They need it all at once. But
it's pretty easy to figure out what they need.
Yeah. So where do you think that the Red Wings are going to end up draft-wise if they stick on this pace?
If they're on this pace, they're going to have a good shot at the #1 overall pick. But it's a lottery, so it's hard to tell.
You can't.
They're going to have at least a top 4 pick. And I think there's a lot of talent out there to go get top 4.
I mean, unless they decide they want to win the last 2 weeks of the season and then
end up with a top 6 pick.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So you got anything else you want to add?
No, that's
to the
all.
show today? All right, cool. So that will do it for this week's episode of 10 Minute Misconduct. I'm Kevin Lepper.
And I'm Aaron Poling.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Welcome back to the final episode of the semester of Every Day is Saturday. I'm Kellen Voss.
And I'm Noah Genson.
And the Michigan football is not on this table, rightfully so, because the Michigan Wolverines lost to the Ohio State Buckeyes this weekend, Noah, 56-27. It was close in the beginning, kind of became a slaughtering towards the end. What were your general thoughts on the game?
You know, I thought the first drive it really put into real good perspective of like a Jim Harbaugh kind of era. Because, they drive down the field, they get that touchdown right away. You're like, oh man, they're gonna come out.
They could do it. They could do it. It looked. I was as a Michigan fan, I was like ready for that. Like I was excited for that.
And then Harbaugh sends out this funky special teams unit, and is trying to run some trick stuff. And then Nordine has like 5 seconds to get the kickoff, and he rushes the kick and he misses it. And it's just right from there, I'm like, okay, this game's over. There's no way they're winning this game at this point because Harbaugh continually tries to be smarter than every coach out there, and he's just not. He's not one of the smarter coaches in football. I'm sorry. And just when you do these types of things and these gimmicky type things all the time and they just don't seem to work out for you, you need to stop and just coach football.
And the thing that was more, and we touched on this pre-show, but the thing that was more irritating to me was the Michigan defense. Because the Michigan defense has been touted all year as like this top 10 defense, and like the reason Michigan's been doing games with inconsistent offense. But obviously Ohio State's the #1 ranked team in the country. But 56 points, and it was the same exact stuff they were doing last year. It was the same underneath routes. It was the same little cutesy little throws to the running back. If we drop back in zone coverage, the holes opened up right there in the middle of our defense. And so I'm surprised that there were no adjustments made on that part.
14 points in every quarter.
Yeah, 14 points in every quarter. You can't really,
No, Don Brown, he does not deserve to have a job next year as a defensive coordinator.
No, I will be shocked if he's still there.
I mean, you can beat Purdue and Indiana and Northwestern with Don Brown's defense. You can do that, but you need to have something around that can beat these high-powered offenses that know how to use their weapons.
And honestly, credit to Justin Fields and J.K. Dobbins. They both made a solid case for to be Heisman. To go into Ann Arbor with literally 100,000 Michigan fans screaming at them the entire time and to play as well as they did was phenomenal. I thought J.K. Dobbins had an incredible stat line. He really did.
He was easily the MVP of that ball game.
Oh yeah,
without a doubt.
200 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns and like 50 more yards receiving.
Yeah, 211 yards rushing, 50 yards receiving. I mean, and then you had Fields 14 for 25. I mean, he missed a couple throws here and there early on, but you don't need him to be making a ton of great throws because the weapons he has, while they're not amazing, are able to get open for him.
It's a bunch of 4-4 wide receivers going up against defensive backs who have been inconsistent all year long.
Yeah, and once those guys get into space, you want them to be able to make plays, and that's exactly what Ohio State lets them do. And, they just had a perfect game plan for this Saturday.
Yeah.
And I really wasn't surprised to see 56. I'm a bit surprised with. I really thought Don Brown would have, after the shellacking they took last year, would have been able to
adjust or something.
Draw something up a little better, but you come out in the same exact defense you did last year and let them do the same exact
There was a
thing.
play in the first half where they were driving down the field. I think they were down 14-6, and then it was the possession that they basically had to score right there to keep it close. And Shea Patterson looked good, made a couple of decent throws, and then he fumbled in the red zone. It was clearly like he wasn't even looking at his center to snap it. He was like calling something else, and he snapped. It looked like a miscommunication of some sort. But yeah, just dropped it on the ground. Ohio State picks it up, scores 2 plays later.
Yeah,
that's a summary of the Michigan football season right there.
And as
there
far
was a
as
lot
the-
of progress to be made in certain areas, and there was a lot of offensive improvement that happened. I think Josh Gaddis did a phenomenal job in the second half of the season. We were talking on that pre-show, but turnovers ultimately killed this football.
Yeah, as far as the offense goes, like you said, bringing Josh Gaddis down to the field helped the offense out immensely. I mean, you can just look back at the numbers for the first 6 or 7, 8 games of the year he wasn't on the field to the rest of the year, the end of the year, and the offensive numbers just went through the roof. And while neither one of us believe that Shea's maybe the number one guy to lead this kind of offense, he had some really good numbers. I mean, first Michigan quarterback to have back-to-back 400-plus yard games, or 4 touchdown games, excuse me. And so, I'm interested to see next year.
And it's less about Patterson and more about the weapons around him.
Yeah.
The backside of the field, Charbonnet emerged as a number one back. He didn't do much in this game, but he emerged as number one back for the rest of the season. Haskins was inconsistent throughout the game. I thought Jackson looked really good. And then receiving wise, you got all that receiving talent. And I don't think Ronnie Bell gets enough credit for being the number one Michigan receiver.
No, he
You look at all these Michigan recruits that come in at receiver, Nico Collins, Nick Eubanks, Tariq Black. There are these big names and these big wide receivers that definitely have first-round potential in the draft. But we saw time and time again that the number one option in the passing game was Ronnie Bell. And he came through time and time again, but a lot of Michigan fans are going to remember him for dropping that ball against Penn State. And I want to credit Ronnie Brown, and I am excited to hopefully see him for the next 2 seasons because he seems like a great kid. He's super talented, and to see, I think he was a 2-star going into Michigan.
Yeah.
To see him being as successful as he's been is great this season.
Really emerged.
So props to Ronnie Brown.
Really emerged as that number one wide receiver, and that's what they really needed. Donovan Peoples and Tariq Black, those were the 2 guys that were supposed to be the top 2 receivers.
Yeah.
I mean, when they were freshmen, that's all I heard about was those 2
I mean,
guys.
they make the highlight plays, but you saw time and time again,
Right.
Shea Patterson's looking for Ronnie Bell.
That was a safety blanket. And that's what you need in your offense. You need a guy that you can feel comfortable going to in those situations.
Yeah.
And I think everybody here in the receiving corps can come back next year. So I'm really interested to see what Gaddis and Harbaugh are going to be able to draw up with whether it be Joe Milton or Dylan McCaffrey behind center next year, or maybe they get a transfer. Who knows? But those 2 guys look to be the next man up. I'd really like to see what Milton has.
Yes.
But McCaffrey as a thrower is a very good thrower. I think he can add some stuff that throwing the ball that Shea didn't really have.
Yes.
But if you want the dual threat kind of guy, Milton could be that kind of guy.
Yeah,
I think it'd
and
be
in
interesting
terms of, I don't think Harbaugh needs to go after this game. I saw a lot of Michigan fans on Twitter complaining about it. At this point, Ohio State is the number one team in the country by a long shot, and Harbaugh would have had to do the impossible to beat them. Did he do a lot of cutesy things, and did he refuse to make adjustments and had the team look bad in the second half? Absolutely. But that game was competitive. They looked good from the beginning. Michigan was able to win against Iowa earlier this year. They had a couple of decent wins. You could still make the mantra that he can't win big games, but he blew out Notre Dame. He beat Iowa. It's the whole Michigan man mantra that Michigan expects all these titles is kind of bullshit at this point.
It really
because
is.
What's the best Michigan win that's happened this decade is the Sugar Bowl win that Brady Hoke had against the Virginia Tech quarterback that's now a backup tight end on the Lions.
Yeah.
That's the best thing that's happened in Michigan football this decade. So let's chill with the Michigan man mystique and the hat to contribute for the national championship and just be happy with the fact that we can get 9 and 10 win seasons and consistently get them.
Yeah.
If it continues to be a problem where Harbaugh gets blown out in these games, then yes, fire him next year, fire him the year before. But he is a good football coach in my mind. He's not one of the smarter ones, like you said. He's not the innovative type, but he's a good football coach, and people rally around him, and I want to see him continue to be Michigan's coach next season.
Yeah, I certainly don't think after. I mean, you go 9-3. I don't think this is a fireable offense going as having the record you did this year. I think there might be some other options as far as.
I think Don Brown's gone. We talked about that.
Yes, I think Don Brown certainly. I think they need to find a different defensive mind. I mean, it shows Greg Madison, one of the guys on his staff, leaves to go to Ohio State. That there's got to be something there. There's got to be something to go with that. I would think as far as Don Brown's philosophy.
But the more important rivalry in college football. For sure this decade, a case can be made for this century, is Auburn, Alabama. And this was actually the first time in 8 years that they played, and this game didn't decide who was going to the SEC championship, and it was still a thrilling ball game.
Yeah, 48-45. Bo Nix, really 15 of 30 for 173. Didn't wow you through the air, but he's as a freshman, all you need out of the guy in the SEC is to be a game manager, and that's what he does for you. He makes sure he doesn't make those big mistakes. and he really kept these guys in the ballgame. And defensively, some real big plays. The 99-yard pick six, that was a huge game changer. Mac Jones didn't look terrible.
Yeah.
Only 13 incompletions, 335.
Isn't it weird how, like, the past 5 years, besides Tua, obviously, Alabama really hasn't had a good quarterback and hasn't had a good kicker? Like, you would think that with all the talent that they can recruit, that, like, they still, like, don't, like, those are two of the most essential positions on the football field, and you had a guy shanking a 30-yard kick to end the game.
Yeah, you would think with the pedigree that Saban has, he could bring in a kicker.
You would think he has the money somewhere to
Yeah, I mean,
afford
like
it.
Ninja was talking about on Twitter all weekend. You know, you would think you could find a kicker that can make some field goals.
But props to Auburn for getting this done. This is actually the third time that Gus Malzahn has beaten Alabama in Auburn. Nick Saban has not beaten Auburn in Auburn when Auburn is ranked so far in his career. So you could say that Auburn's kind of his kryptonite. And a name you're going to want to remember come NFL draft time, Derek Brown. That last drive Alabama had, he knocked down 2 of those passes, had 7 tackles, 5 solo tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss after the game. He's a beast. He's going to be a top 10 pick. If the Lions miss out on Chase Young, I want them to get Derek Brown. But yeah, and then to talk about the end of that game, the Alabama kicker, they said on the broadcast, they said that he hadn't missed a regular season kick since 2017. That's the kiss of death there.
You can't jinx the guy like that.
Yeah.
The broadcasters, you got to know there's a broadcasting jinx. It's going to happen all the time.
And then Auburn's doing the classic thing where they're trying to get a first down to end the game, and Alabama defense is stopping them. And I don't know about you, but I was sitting back there like, oh no, Alabama's going to have a shot to take this. And then they line up for the punt, and Alabama clearly has 12 men on the field. Think about all the guys that are on the Alabama coaching staff. You wouldn't think that there's one guy that's just his job is to just count to make sure there's 11 guys on the field every play.
12 men on
That's ridiculous.
12 men on the field is one of the most inexcusable penalties you can have.
Yeah.
Because, especially when it comes to special teams, because how often are you changing the scheme that you're running special teams wise or the package that you're running? Those are the 11 guys you want out there for special teams.
Yeah.
How do you not know unless you weren't told about a substitution or something?
And there was stuff
that's
about
on the
how
coach
Nick
then,
Saban was said it was unfair in the meet. Stop being a sore loser,
Yeah,
Nick Saban.
that's-
Go eat your oatmeal cream pies and be happy with the fact that you're not going to be in the college football playoff.
Yeah,
Go figure out how to scheme for Auburn next season.
People want to maybe write off Alabama right now, but let's see them lose to a team that's actually not good at football, and then we can start
It
talking
shows
about
you the
Alabama's-
pedigree of Alabama's program when
Like,
they're 10-2 and have
they
losses
lose
to LSU and Auburn,
and
it's
are
like
they-
a down season for Alabama.
I was watching First Taker Sports Center this morning, and one of the things was, is this the end of Bama? Well, I mean, how can you call this the end of or the end of Saban? Does he not have the magic anymore? I mean, he's just went to the college football playoff.
This is the first year he's not going to be involved in it.
He's
in
been
the
in
history of
every
the college
single.
football
He's
playoff.
been in every single one. He's been in every national title game. I'm pretty sure. Or no, he missed one of the national title games. I mean, let's wait. Let's pump the brakes on Saban's done until we see him actually go 8-4 or something.
Right. But in terms of flaws, the defense giving up 48 points to Auburn, there's holes in that secondary. They really didn't have. They kind of lacked that Alabama C.J. Mosley-esque star in the middle of that defense, and that really showed in that Auburn game.
That's the one thing we kind of talked about with the defense is they don't have that star that's going to take advantage of some of these mismatches defensively and being able to get to the quarterback. And so that's where they really missed out all season. And so they'll still get a New Year's Six Bowl. They'll still probably beat up on whoever that is. And so right now, Bama's still Bama. They just, they don't have Tua now.
No.
And so losing this game shouldn't be the end of the world.
No, it shouldn't be. Props to Auburn for getting that win done. But to wrap up the show here, we're going to go a little college football playoff kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think the locks we have for sure are Ohio State, LSU, and Clemson, probably in that order, unless Ohio State loses the Big Ten championship. But it's probably solidified in that order for now. And then that fourth team, if Georgia wins the SEC title, I think you have to put them in.
100%,
no doubt about it.
100%.
If they lose, and especially lose in embarrassing fashion, a case can be made for Utah. A case can really be made for Utah, which is incredible that I'm even saying that. But a case can be made for Utah.
I think it's been sort of we just sort of assumed that the Pac-12 is not going to be in the conversation for the college football playoff. The resume's never that good. They never have a good enough team around 1 or 2 losses to really get in there, other than the Marcus Mariota the first year that they had Oregon get in. But yeah, Utah, if they're able to knock off Oregon, which I mean isn't a for sure win for them by any means. Oregon's a tough opponent. If they can knock off Oregon, I'd be very surprised, even if it's a close game with LSU and a Georgia loss, they might
sneak in.
They might sneak in and just say, hey, they're a Pac-12 champion with one loss, and we're gonna give that
give that the credit it deserves.
Yeah, we're gonna give them the credit they deserve, and over a 2-loss Georgia, while their 2 losses are probably, it would be 1 loss to LSU, and I believe the other loss was to South Carolina. So that South Carolina loss really does come and bite them, because that's a tough loss to.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw Ohio State last year
yeah.
when they had that loss to Purdue to David Blau. Props to David Blau. You did a great job on Thursday.
Amazing.
But they had that loss to Purdue, and they almost were not in the college football playoff because of it.
Yes.
And the committee has shown a reputation for, if you have a bad loss like that, and South Carolina's a terrible loss. They got destroyed on Saturday, and that was like the 4th week in a row they got destroyed. So just think that Georgia lost to that team is ridiculous. That could be the one thing that keeps Georgia out of the playoff.
Yeah, so I think it's, without a doubt, Georgia gets in if they win.
Right.
But if they lose, I think Utah's really the only team. But if we get a Utah loss, then I think it opens the floodgates for a lot.
If Georgia and Utah lose,
because
then you're looking at Oklahoma's got to be considered.
Baylor,
Oregon then would be the Pac-12 champ, so maybe look at Oregon. But I don't know.
It really
man.
muddies the water if Utah and Georgia lose, which honestly that'd be really great.
Yeah, it'd be really fun to watch. It'd be really fun to watch. Yeah. Well, that's going to be it for our last episode of the semester here of Every Day is Saturday. I'm sure have had a hell of a fun time talking college football with you, Noah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, continue to support our stuff, the stuff we write, stuff we podcast, stuff we video. But yeah, until next time, I guess, I'm Kellen Voss.
And I'm Noah Genson.
Welcome back to another episode of Unnecessary Roughness. I'm Joe Bielanski.
I'm McClorey.
Let's get right into it. So we are coming from you live Monday, December 2nd. We had some Thanksgiving games, right? We had Bears Lions.
In theory, we had Thanksgiving
was the
games.
Afternoon delight, and then
Delight.
your little soiree was Buffalo and Dallas.
I liked that.
And then your nightcap was Atlanta and New Orleans.
Which had some exciting moments at the end too. I liked Cowboys and Bills a heck of a lot better.
Yep, that was a good game. But any kind of thoughts or takeaways from the Thanksgiving slate? I think for the most part, it kind of went as expected. I think for most people,
except for the Bills being able to A, just shut down the Cowboys completely, and B, Josh Allen looked really nice. He's got kind of it's kind of escaped him a little bit in recent weeks. I almost said recent years, but he's a second-year quarterback. He's kind of got a reputation as a turnover machine, like a Jameis Winston light. But he's really turning that around right now. He's not. He didn't have any turnovers against the Cowboys. I don't know how long it's been since he threw an interception, but I know he had a 4-game streak where he didn't throw any there. Devin Singletary looks really nice. They had that trick play to John Brown where they threw a touchdown pass.
Frank Gore is still ageless.
Frank Gore, I wouldn't call him ageless, but he's still awesome. He's 28 still. And for a running back, that's old, but.
He's just been doing it forever.
Yeah, he has been doing it forever. And it's awesome to see. He just passed Barry Sanders in yards. Now he's Walter Payton, then Emmitt Smith. I don't think he's going to hit Emmitt. He could hit Walter, but Bills' defense looked good too.
Yeah, that's a complete team. They drafted Ed Oliver, obviously, in this past year's draft. And no, this Buffalo's team is the real deal. Unfortunately, they share a division with the Patriots, but they could still easily get in a wild card. No, I'm a big Josh Allen defender. Loved him at Wyoming, just a gunslinger. And he's mobile, too. People forget about that, too.
Oh, no, not anymore. They don't.
Well,
not anymore.
I suppose, yeah, but because there was some stat it was it was him and Cam Newton for most. It's some random statistic, but no, Josh Allen can move the ball for being a big dude.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, it was good that they were able to beat Dallas in Jerry World. Jerry said that they're not going to make a change at quarterback mid-season.
Coach.
I really hope that Urban Meyer, because there's been some speculation that Urban Meyer could be connected to the Dallas job.
I feel like Lincoln Riley is more likely.
I hope
especially
not.
because he's living in Oklahoma. Wouldn't really have to even move that far to Dallas, but.
Because there's nobody's face I hate more than Urban Meyer's. Heard it here first.
I'm right there with you. Right there with you.
Yeah, so that was the Thanksgiving slate. And then for New Orleans, they won their division in November.
Which, that's more
of... A
of...
little bit of revenge.
The Saints are great. That's also kind of an indictment of their division. The Falcons just completely fell off a cliff. The Bucks are exactly what I thought they'd be. third highest scoring team in the league, but a defense that really can't stop anybody. And then the Panthers, what are you going to do? Quarterback gets hurt, and then Christian McCaffrey's your only weapon. Some teams are just going to be able to stop that.
And the weird thing is, too, with Tampa, it's like that defense shouldn't be as, like, if you look at the pieces, it's like they have some dogs. Devin White.
Who scored a touchdown yesterday, by the way.
Yeah, and then what the heck's that? Shaq Barrett.
Pass
rusher.
Granted, he just like lit onto the scene. Nobody thought he'd be that good, and he's about to get paid a ton in the offseason. Maybe not even by Tampa, because I don't know how much cap space Tampa has, but I know they're kind of low on it.
Yeah, they're going to need to find a new quarterback. So.
Yeah, that they are. They're not going to be spending there.
But yeah, I mean, so that was Thanksgiving slate. We had those 3 games. It was fantastic. Hopefully everybody ate too much and you were able to just sit down and watch football all afternoon / day / night. Yeah, it was good. Like I said, I think it went pretty much as planned. And then, then carrying into Sunday of our normal slate of football, we had a game for the ages. You can maybe argue Super Bowl preview. Who knows? Depends on how you want to look at things.
Super Bowl rematch.
Well, oh yeah, that's true too. The Harbaugh Bowl. But we had San Francisco and Baltimore play in a muddy Baltimore, and Justin Tucker won it on a walk-off.
And you see, I'm really impressed with how both of these teams played. Like one of these, and yeah, I know we could have had a tie, but we're not going there. One of these teams had to lose. Yeah. And like that's basically what it was. Like they're both neck and neck. These are 2 top 5 teams in the NFL right now. Nobody's going to dispute that.
Shout out Matt Judon.
Oh, shout out Matt Judon, GV alum. Let's go. But yeah, the Ravens, like their defense is playing with fire right now. Like the addition to Marcus Peters, that played out so much better than anybody could have imagined. Like Deebo Samuel, like he completely mossed Marcus Peters on a 4th down touchdown where Jimmy just kind of threw it up. But Marcus Peters, I think he's got 5 interceptions on the year. I know he's got 2 pick sixes for the Ravens. That trade only happened because the Jags didn't want to send Jalen Ramsey to the AFC. Yeah. So the Rams made that move and then sent Marcus Peters to the Ravens. But Marcus Peters has been, I don't want to say better than Jalen Ramsey has because, Jalen Ramsey's so good. But he's made more of an impact for the Ravens than Jalen Ramsey's made for the Rams for sure. But that's just how good Peters has been. And this isn't even talking about Lamar Jackson, the man of the hour, the man of the year, the MVP. I've been on Russell Wilson for MVP all year long. Nah, my mind, it's pretty much changed. Unless Russell Wilson's going to go on a complete tear to end the season, which he could. He's done it before.
Yeah, I think it's still a 2-horse race, but I think definitely Lamar has the edge.
Oh, yeah, Lamar. I don't know when he took over the edge for me personally because I rode the Russell Wilson train pretty late. But, yeah, Lamar's definitely the MVP. It might have been the Rams game where just 5 touchdowns and like 3 incompletions, something like that.
I mean, it's just his ability. I mean, even from, last year he played, 8 games, and obviously the playoffs after Flacco got hurt. But even from last year to this year, just the improvement in the passing where now it's like
he can actually throw.
He's an actual quarterback.
He can throw an accurate football now. Like sometimes he'll miss on stuff. Like he's not perfect at throwing, but the fact that he can do so much with his legs and like the defense has to commit to that, the fact that he's just accurate at all, boom, look what it's done to his game. It just made him an MVP. And like this guy's more athletic than Michael Vick. I swear.
And he's got the charisma too. It's like Lamar Jackson's hard not to root for.
Seriously.
Unless there's like some deep underlying things wrong with you.
Like even Steelers fans like this guy. It's like, man.
He's got the charisma. Like he's talented. He's fun to watch. Like
it's just like Patrick Mahomes last year. There's just so much fun stuff on the field. It's like, okay, give me more of this guy.
And then even the goofy, sitting on the sideline, they're all wearing sunglasses. Like that's just like the stupid stuff that like my dumb brain thinks is like funny, right? So it's like I'm here for all of it. I love Lamar Jackson.
Oh heck yeah.
So what was it? Earl Thomas made the prediction like this is going to be the Super Bowl. It was something like that. But it was something like that.
It very well could be.
But no, I think that's a real possibility.
They're the 1 seed in the AFC now with that Patriots loss yesterday.
Yeah, that was huge. I mean, that's a great transition into then Sunday night too, which was if you would have told me that Houston could have won, I'd have given them a shot, but not the fashion in which they did.
Like, 'cause that was a beat down for sure. It was 28-22 is the final score.
But that was garbage time. It's not indicative.
It was 28-9. It was 28-9, and that was
Well, and then, oh man, I can't even remember the dude's name, but the piece that Houston had gotten in the Jadeveon Clowney trade, who was kind of
Jacob Martin, that's his name.
he was kind of supposed to be like a nobody, kind of just a throw-in. He had an awesome game last night.
He had like 2 sacks, 3 sacks.
Yeah, now who knows, if that's sustainable or he just got hot, but I mean, shoot, the return is looking okay. Now, obviously, you're never going to be able to replace Jadeveon Clowney, but it kind of seems like this defense is starting to find its footing a little bit. And you mix that with a Deshaun Watson.
It was so good.
Still shaky offensive line, but there's talent.
They got Laramie Tunsil, and that made them better.
A little bit.
They're better than the worst offensive line in the league, because last year they were like far and away the worst of contending teams, and now they're at least like, this is a passable O-line, and that's huge.
And we might digress here, but like, I think what's going to happen, and again, good for him, but like Deshaun Watson's a smart dude. He's going to pull an Andrew Luck. Like, I think there's a chance he retires early because he's just getting the snot knocked out of him in injuries. And again, Deshaun's a smart guy. Like, he's got this enough whereabouts to be like enough's enough. So I'm afraid that we get robbed, I guess, as fans of Deshaun Watson time because based upon how the beginnings of his career has gone. It's like Bill O'Brien's playbook is like, let's just knock the snot out of Deshaun.
I remember exactly where I was when I saw the news that Watson tore his ACL in 2017 because he was doing exactly what Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson are doing right now. He was tearing up the league, and then bam, I see the Bleacher Report notification on my phone. I'm going to my professor's office hours, and I see Deshaun Watson non-contact knee injury, and I just throw my phone into my passenger seat, and I just kind of sit back like this. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, man. We just lost this guy the rest of the year. Then thank God that didn't take away his mobility. One more thing with these Texans, though, with his defense maybe coming into its own, J.J. Watt wants to come back for the playoffs. That was a report that came out. They're saving the IR to return spot for him, and they don't have any real superstars on that defense. You saw Bradley Roby with the 1 pick yesterday, the other one that got called back, but
I mean, they still have Whitney Merciless.
Who
ultimately, New England probably game planned to double him, and that's how that Martin kid got free, and then he was having a big game, and then it was like, well, shoot, now we have to game plan for him and not Merciless. So,
And then the Pats O-line just wasn't. They're injured, and they just weren't good.
And there was a lot, too, where, you would see, it was almost as if New England's, offensive line just kind of, gave up. They'd get beat on, a swim move, and then it was just, that was it. There was no second effort to, try to, knock some of these guys off their path. And Brady was getting hit all night. Obviously, that's never good when you're a million years old. And
he doesn't look like he's having fun out there playing like that.
No, and I mean, we've seen it he was coaching up, yelling, whatever you want to call it. Probably a little bit of both because there's a difference.
Yeah.
I'd like to make that clear. But he was kind of doing that to some of his wide receivers because at this point in time, it's the only wideout he really trusts is Julian Edelman.
And he's not playing well.
Well, and you can also then at that point, teams are going to know that, and they're going to be able to game plan for that. So now you're going to, take away Edelman. And I don't know. I think there's still time for this offense to kind of get into its own. Obviously, Mohamed Sanu and Brady will continue to build chemistry. Ben Watson coming back from being suspended suspended, right?
Yeah.
Not injured.
Yeah, he was suspended.
So, as these pieces kind of fit back together, I don't not that Boston fans are worried, but there's no reason for them to. But if this kind of trend continues, then I'll kind of start to doubt. But this little stretch here, it's still Bill, it's still Tom, they're still the Patriots.
That's something you always got to take into account. But that vaunted defense, the only two they played the Buffalo Bills. That's a winning team, but their offense isn't that great. They beat them 16-10. The only two winning teams they played, the Ravens and the Texans. The Ravens scorched them for 37. The Texans put 28 on them. The Browns, who aren't great, but that's probably the best offensive team they played before the Ravens. They put up 13 points, that's it. But they turned the ball over on 3 straight plays, and Nick Chubb was running down their throat on them. So that Patriots defense, be careful with that, because there's a way you beat that cover 2 blitz. We've seen that before, the shot to Will Fuller that he dropped.
Yeah.
That's exactly how you beat that cover 0 blitz, that vaunted thing that Bill Belichick's been doing. Nelson Aguilar almost did that for the Eagles, but there was that nasty drop in the end zone that some people saw. But I don't know. The Patriots, I don't want to be that person who's the Patriots are toast, because people have been doing that the last 4 years now, and look where it's gotten us. But I think we got to be careful with those guys, because I think that defense isn't as good as people think, and that offense is yikes.
the only good thing for them is, again, they're in the AFC East. Ultimately, I think they'll still end up winning it, and then Buffalo would end up with a wild card because it's not like the Jets or the Dolphins.
The Patriots still play both. I think they play the Dolphins once, and they play the Bengals still. So.
Yeah, so you like New England's chances.
They're looking
to
at
win
like
that.
12 wins at least.
And speaking real quick, we're not going to talk about it. I'm just going to bring it up because we've been getting the rap signal. I don't care. But nonetheless, the Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals finally won. We no longer have a winless team in the NFL.
It's so unfortunate.
It kind of is, if we're being honest. I was really hoping that would continue, but they're still probably in position for the first overall pick, whether that be Burrow or Chase Young.
There you go.
That's up for debate, and you'll hear more about that from our college football folks.
That we should.
But real quick, we'll preview tonight's Monday night game. We got Seattle. We got Minneapolis. I'll be honest with you. Where is it at? I don't know.
It's in Seattle.
It's in Seattle?
Yep.
I like Seattle.
All right. Yep. You know where I'm going with this. Let's go Seahawks, especially with no Adam Thielen. I don't think this is going to be one of those Kirk Cousins games like they had in Seattle last year where it was just an abortion and they lost 21-0. I think it's going to be more like 24-14. They're going to come out a little flat. Dalvin Cook's going to look good, but no Adam Thielen. I think that's really going to hurt the Vikings.
I mean, yeah, and it's obviously big too for the rest of the NFC picture with Minnesota and Seattle. Still
especially with
hanging in the balance.
Seattle beating the Niners in San Francisco. I mean, the Seahawks are only one game behind in the NFC West. Man, they could take that division.
It'll be interesting to see kind of how that shapes up, but looking forward to that game tonight. We got a good Monday nighter. Any last words of the weekend of football? Anything that jumps out to you?
I mean, another good game, Saints versus Niners. That's 10-2 versus 10-2.
That's true.
That's going to be
next
a very
Monday, right?
That's Sunday,
Oh,
and it's going to be
Sunday.
absolutely
Okay.
awesome. So
there we go.
here it goes with that.
With that being said, for one last time, this has been Unnecessary Roughness. I've been Joe Bielanski.
I'm Aaron McClorey. Go Seahawks tonight.
And I will see yous never on a different platform. Not this one. On a different platform, I will, though.
Peace.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Full Court Press. I'm your host, Noah Genson.
And this is Aaron McClorey.
And we're not going to talk about the Pistons today. We don't need to do that. It's my last show here. I don't need to be depressed on the show. And so we're going to start off with who the Pistons played last night, though, and that's the San Antonio Spurs, if I could even talk. It's the Spurs. Looks like they're going to go into rebuild mode, possibly. They're 7-14 right now, and you never would have really guessed that under Pop. But right now, it's just not looking great.
Light a candle for the playoff streak, man.
Yeah.
This is just
21 in a row, I think, or something
I think
like
something
that.
along the lines of that. It's huge. Since I think 1997, 1998, the year after they drafted Duncan, whenever that was.
Yeah, ever since then, it's just been an amazing run. I mean, it's Patriots-esque. I mean, those are really the two dynasties. I mean, they don't have the championships, the numbers.
I like to compare them to the Red Wings in hockey.
Okay,
because the Red Wings had, I think, a 25 years straight. They had 4 titles in that. The Spurs got 5 titles in
you
their
just
20
see
runs.
I mean, it's just the great consistency that you really haven't been able to see from a lot of teams in the NBA for a long time. I mean, we're going through that as Pistons fans, obviously.
Oh, Lord. Well, we're consistent, all right. We're consistently in the middle.
Bad, yes, in the middle. And being able to see this excellence kind of come to an end, I think it's not good by any means.
No.
I wouldn't say it's a good thing to see, but it's that end of a new era or beginning of a new era, end of an old era here in San Antonio. We might see Pop around still, but trades are more than likely going to be coming. Rumors of DeMar being moved somewhere.
LaMarcus Aldridge too.
LaMarcus Aldridge possibly getting moved, and so they have some young pieces around San Antonio. Though you have Jakob Poeltl and Dejounte Murray, Derek White, who came on last year in the playoffs, I believe, and so you have some young guys around to build around. But I think this year it's just everything's kind of hitting the fan at once for the Spurs, and it's just you just wouldn't expect that to see from San Antonio.
Right, man. It's just so sad to see.
Yeah, it really is. 2 teams in Texas though that are playing really great basketball right now
because
of the 2 probably top MVP candidates right now. and it's James Harden and Luka Doncic.
Oh, Luka's my front runner right now. Full blown.
Luka and James are absolutely destroying the Western Conference. They're both 13-6.
4th and 5th in the West, I believe.
Yes, 4th and 5th. Right now, Dallas ahead of Houston, and so.
I think that's just a tiebreaker thing. So.
But yeah, we were talking about this beforehand. They're really one and the same of each other, Luka and James.
Nobody else can hit that like step back three. Both of those two hit it so well. No one else can do that.
Their usage or on ball or ball in hand rate that we were talking about. That's Luka's 1, Harden's 2. I mean, they play virtually the same kind of ball. Luka averaged 39 and 9 this past week. Harden's averaging 47. Right now, I mean, just the way Harden's scoring is absolutely incredible, and the way the efficiency that Luka's playing at. Either one of those, do you see either one of them being able to sustain this for the entire year?
I mean, if playoffs count, then no. I think Harden's going to fall off in the playoffs once again.
Yes.
But like regular season, boom, Harden's going to stick it out the whole way. Luka, he looks like he's in a lot better shape than last year. Like last year, he was kind of like, I don't want to say fat, because it certainly wasn't fat, but he was kind of like
chunky,
especially for an NBA player.
Yeah.
But like.
He still had that baby fat on him.
Oh yeah,
he was
like
only 18.
that ain't there now.
No, it's
like
not.
He's like lean, he's ripped right now, and he's playing like.
And this is, I mean, Kristaps Porzingis is still the second best player on this team,
Yeah.
but offensively, the efficiency's not there. You can go look at his numbers. He's still averaging 18 and like 10, or 18 and 8 or something around there. But it's the efficiency. It's the fact that they're going down on the block with him so much, and that's just not, surprisingly enough, for a 7'3" guy as big as he is. That's not the kind of game you should be having Porzingis play. He's a phenomenal outside shooter.
Like he's a 7'3" shooting guard.
Yeah,
is what
and
he is.
I think Carlisle's figuring it out. I mean, you have to figure this out, and I don't think it's something you should be worried about with Kristaps as a Mavs fan. He's still averaging close to 2.5 blocks a game, 2 steals. I mean, defensively, that
He can
impact
shoot
is still
too.
there, and shooting. It's just him getting his own buckets down in the post. That's where it's kind of struggling, and so I think Harden's scoring will last for a longer run because I think we'll see a little less of Luka once Kristaps we're going to see some 35, 40-point Kristaps games, I think, here.
I hope. I sure hope.
Coming soon. But on the flip side, with Houston, it really seems like a much better fit, even though they just really replaced Russ or CP3 with Russ. It just seems like they have more explosive plays with Russ.
Oh, yeah.
And it gives James more opportunities to kind of do his own thing without feeling like he's taking away from the offense like it kind of did last year.
Exactly. And, like, these guys have the pre-existing chemistry already. Like, apparently there are problems with Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul in the locker room. That's not a thing with James Harden and Chris Paul, excuse me. That's not a thing with Russell Westbrook and James Harden right now, evidently. Like, the defense, I feel like they're struggling because of that. I feel like Chris Paul did better on that end, but I mean, the offense, it's not bogging down right now, that's for sure.
I mean, I was one going into the season that thought this would be an absolute mess. I didn't think two guys that led the league in efficiency could coexist, especially if one of them is Russell Westbrook.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a huge Russell Westbrook fan. I think the way he plays is a bit much, and I think he takes too many just stupid shots and makes some stupid decisions. But the recklessness that he kind of plays with is kind of nice in this offense, and so it gives you some like just weird plays to add to this offense. And like I said, take a little pressure off of James, so when James is doing these kind of things, it doesn't seem like I said, ruining the offense and ruining the flow of it. Let's move on to the Eastern Conference now. Some surprising teams in the East. Surprising player to some would be Pascal Siakam.
Ooh, man.
25.5, 8.5, 4 assists, shooting the lights out, and just looking like they are not missing a beat after losing Kawhi. And it shouldn't really come to much of a surprise to us. Last year, they had the same exact winning percentage with Kawhi playing as they did without him playing. I think it might have actually been a better winning percentage without him playing.
Right.
And so, just seeing that, I mean, we should have known that Nick Nurse and this Raptors team would have been able to come into this year ready for that challenge. And it really looks like they are only a game and a half back in Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah. Like Pascal Siakam, he looks like a nice mixture of what Kawhi used to be and then like a hybrid of Giannis running to the rim and then Kevin Durant's shot making and length. And it's like...
Yeah, you're not gonna see that smooth mid-range jumper that Kawhi makes 110% of the time from Pascal. But the smoothness of his game on offense.
He's got like the best of those three players.
Yeah, and he's able to around the rim. He's fantastic. He cleans up the offensive boards better than you would expect for a guy at his height and sort of size.
Yep.
And just all around, even if we're just going to look at the Raptors in a whole, I mean, Fred VanVleet has taken a huge step. I mean, listening to the Bill Simmons podcast, he was ranking his top 10. And, you know, he made a real good case that Fred VanVleet might be in there for the top 10. And he's playing some of his best basketball right now. And just the addition with all these other guys around them, you know, you have Marc Gasol playing some solid minutes. Not his best basketball of his career.
Oh, yeah.
But you know, he's given some good minutes. You got Serge Ibaka. All these guys around are really Kyle Lowry even.
Yeah, Lowry playing really well.
Yeah, so you have really just this entire team that just won an NBA championship last year. You know, you lose Kawhi, that's a huge piece, but it's just everybody's kind of playing together, and it's looking like it's working out well.
Exactly. Like this looks like the actual 04 Pistons right now. Like no true superstar. Like a lot of people compared the last year's Raptors to those Pistons. I'm comparing these Raptors to those Pistons because they're officially a title contender.
Yeah, I mean, you have Pascal.
They're second in the East right now.
Yeah, you
and
can
the East
argue.
is good.
Yeah, you can argue that he's a top 10 player, and I think he clearly is. But like, he's not a. I don't think you can necessarily call him a superstar just yet. And so that's. I mean, the way they're playing right now with the group of guys they got around them, it's very Pistons 04-esque.
Oh yeah.
Last team I want to touch on here is Miami. Your favorite team in the East right now.
Oh, yes.
They're third in the East, surprising to, I think, a lot of people.
That's exactly where I called them to be.
And they're at 14-5, 2.5 back. You know, Jimmy Butler, those 3 a.m. practices are certainly working out for him.
Seriously.
Tyler Hero looks to be the steal of the draft at number 14. Kendrick Nunn has been playing lights out. Bam Adebayo has taken a huge step forward on both ends of the floor. And it's just, you know, when you can add all that together and then have the best coach in basketball in Eric Spoelstra, you're gonna have a lot of good things come together for you, and it's looking great. It's just you have a ton of role players around, and it's really kind of Toronto-esque a little bit without kind of Pascal's sort of impact that you're not seeing from like a Jimmy.
I think this is a lot of what Toronto was doing last year because like what Jimmy is doing, I feel like is what Kawhi was doing for the Raptors last year. Like the rest of the team is picking up a lot of slack, but then Jimmy's that superstar. Like bam, you go to him late minutes. Like Jimmy, he's came out and said, and Spoelstra's even said, like Jimmy don't need to average 20+ points a game. I think actually Dragic and Nunn, I think for a while were averaging more than Butler per game. Like I could be wrong there, but Butler is only averaging like 18 points a game right now.
Yeah.
And he just hit the game-winning free throws against the Nets last night, and Bam Adebayo right at the rim.
I mentioned this last year during Philly's playoff run that there needed to be one guy of those four to kind of take a step back, and I thought Jimmy Butler should have been that guy to kind of take a more of a leadership role and take, as far as playmaking ability on the offensive side, let the other 3 guys do that. And that's really what he's doing right now without 3 other stars around him.
Exactly.
You have he's giving the reins to Tyler Hero. He's giving the reins to Kendrick Nunn. He's letting these guys and these younger guys do these kinds of things, and it's working out in this offense. And
I think his impact on Bam Adebayo was huge because that defense, like we all knew that Bam's like switchable center, that hybrid center. And what Jimmy Butler's done for him on defense, I think that's just...
Yeah, defensively, Bam, that's really where I thought Bam's bread and butter was in college. He struggled a little early on, but he's really taken a step forward. Offensively, it's crazy where Bam is. I thought he was a solid player coming out of Kentucky. I watched him play once in Kentucky, and around the rim he struggled a little bit, but you know, he's added an outside shot. He's able to bring the ball up the floor and kind of initiate some offense the way we're seeing Andre Drummond do in Detroit right now. And, you know, the more and more guys you have on your team that are able to initiate stuff makes it easier for everybody around you because, one, defensively, the main reason defensively, they don't know who to get ready for that matchup. And so when you have a ton of guys being able to initiate stuff offensively, I think that really changes the way you're going to play. And even though it's a bunch of role players in Miami, they're playing like one of the best teams in the NBA.
If all your role players are playing their role well, then your team's going to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, you got Myers Leonard. You can go down the list of these guys that they got.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane.
They're like 9 deep, I think, right now. It's amazing.
It's going to be really interesting to see if it can sustain. They're undefeated at home, and so they
undefeated. Ooh, I didn't know that.
8-0 at home, 6-5 on the road. So when they do leave South Beach, it does get tough.
But when they're going in a playoff series, that's going to be huge.
Series, hey, if they're the 3 seed, you got a couple of good home series there.
No, get the 2 seed, Miami.
Yeah, that's going to do it here for us on Full Court Press. This is the last one of the semester, and so until next semester, I'm Noah Genson,
and I'm Aaron McClorey.